Hi, Larry Kruger with McWilliams Mayflower. Today on Ask the Expert, I am trying to eliminate the jargon in our industry. Ooh, that came right at you, didn't it? We're trying to simplify the process, make it a little easier to understand. Movers, we are our own worst enemies. We make things complicated and we appear that we're not easy to work with. In fact, when I was a boy and Shep was a pup, the relocation management companies actually came into the industry as auditors because us movers, we were sending corporations the jargon, the blah, blah, blahs that they couldn't understand, and they actually brought in the relocation companies to audit these services. Now, since then, we've come to our senses and things are getting much, much easier to understand. McWilliams, the firm that I'm with, we've had a simplified tariff for the past decade where we try to eliminate a lot of this jargon and industry speak, if you will. There are three major costs in a move. The transportation piece, that's getting things from A to B, the actual transportation, the packing of the goods, the pots, the pans, the dishes, the unpacking services, of course, marry up with that. And then the transportation insurance, or what's called the extra care protection, is the other third major costs. That would be considered a straightforward move. Accessorial charges or service charges are all the little services that may be added on with all the variables that may occur in a move. Now, just to touch on a few of them to kind of clarify them, you'll see city service charges showing up. A city service charge, we take our mileage, our 25-mile radius of metropolitan areas. And when the truck gets there, this service charge is in there for the driver to kind of manage the city. If they have to go from one end of the city to the other, a large city could take them 2 or 3 hours in rush hour, maybe 4 hours. They have to get a tractor trailer downtown, deal with the traffic, deal with the parking, all that good stuff. That city surcharge is in there to help manage large metropolitan areas. You don't see that city surcharges on smaller towns or cities. You'll see a fuel service charge. Basically, as the fuel fluctuates, you end up paying for it. We have a watchdog that monitors, independent corporation that manages and watches the fuel prices, and we rank our service charges based on that information, what the fuel is actually worth on any given day that the move may take place, and that is passed on to the consumer. You'll see shuttle services. When we can't get a truck right up to a house, we may have to put it into a smaller truck and take it to the big truck. That's what's referred to as a shuttle service. Long carries. If the driver or crew have to walk, they might have to walk 100 yards under a building to get to a loading dock. That extra time and labor shows up as a long carry charge to compensate the folks that are actually carrying the furniture. We have what's called bulky articles. So if we're loading boats or trailers or things of that nature, they take up more space than they actually weigh. So we'll deck over these items and put plywood on, but then you're charged for basically the unused space, the unusable space that these bulky items take up. It's called a bulky item charge. The items weigh less than the actual space they take up. So that's a charge that might show up. Appliance servicing is another one. We don't do electrical work. Our folks aren't, skilled or licensed to do that. So, appliance servicing, washer, dryer, fridge, stove, chandeliers, surround sound systems, all that kind of good stuff. Even home gyms right now, we call in third-party folks to disassemble these things. There's insurance, obviously, risk if assembling weights and things of that nature. So we call in third parties to do that. We carry the invoice and we pay them. So there's usually a 10% fee put on top of their services for carrying the invoice and managing the process. We ship automobiles the same way. We'll either utilize a third-party company or we will, in some cases, put them on the truck, whereby we'll drive the vehicle onto the truck, we'll deck over it, and we'll block the wheels. All those things of blocking charges show up as a service charge. It's not a normal thing, but we do it. You'll see ferry charges if we have to take a boat in Canada, you know, Newfoundland, Labrador, Victoria Island. You have to take ocean ferries basically to get to these places, and there is a charge for that. So it shows up. So there's a number of charges that are out of the ordinary that show up as service charges. Now, question them. If you're seeing them, ask what the service charge is for. If you're working with a mover, I'm going back and harping on this. In my opinion, the number one concern in the relocation industry is the moving space. We have a shrinking workforce. We're in more and more demand, and it's getting more and more difficult to find and keep quality movers. So, you know, if you're out there, you know, hug a mover, talk to a mover, and anyone that's in the business for the long haul, excuse the metaphor, but anybody's in business for a long time, they want to develop a customer. They want to be totally upfront. They want to explain what the charges are, where they're going, and why they need it. Our company never just goes ahead and does something. We always run it by our customers, explain why it's needed, get written authorization before we do it. But basically, that's what the jargon stems from. All these peripheral services that come into play that people have to be compensated for. Do yourself a favor, chat with a mover. It's a vital piece of the puzzle right now. And the more you know about it, the more comfortable you'll become with it. We don't want to confuse you anymore. We want to work with you and kind of help you through this process. It isn't overly complicated. Once it's explained, it makes perfect sense. If it shows up on an invoice with no explanation, it makes no sense. So hopefully that's of some help to you. I am available if you want to text me or get in touch with me about anything, any questions you may have. I'm available. The next time I'm going to be talking about how to select a mover. If you're giving your folks a lump sum to find a mover, I have some good information on how to shop and compare, and I also have some written information that I can send you if you're interested in it. So at any rate, hopefully that clears up a bit about the jargon. The jargon all stems from trying to pay everybody that's involved in the business. You don't have to know it. We have to know it in order to compensate these folks. But I think as an industry, we can make it a lot simpler for you, and that's what we're trying to do. So thanks for your time. Have a great day. Bye.